All right, it's a sunny February 16th. Normally this time of year at Mcnutt, these upper trails aren't really doable. Covered in snow, usually quite a bit of snow, especially last year. This year though, no snowpack. So it's a nice treat to be able to get up high like this. Today was a pretty interesting combo of conditions. As you can see here, you got little patches of ice, you got dust, and you got mud. It's an unusual combination for Mcnutt. Right now I'm chasing my friend Christian up right to the top, baby. And probably getting on his nerves, riding too close for the GoPro. Yeah, normally I probably wouldn't ride this close. But I think it's definitely a little more interesting with someone in the frame. This is a pretty flowy trail at Mcnutt. It is considered a black diamond. I'd say on the easier end of that. The kind of tricky thing with this one is sometimes you can get offline. There are a few spots where there's options, a few braided options and then some down trees, but in general just a wider trail. And a lot of the time that's good, but other times you kind of lose your way. So I'm sitting back here, conveniently just following. That down tree there is one of them. This is sort of a bypass around that. Have a bit of an interesting condition here too. I can't remember what it's officially called, but where you basically have ice crystals forming underneath a small layer of dirt. A lot of the time it kind of creates actually a soft type of condition, soft with ice underneath. Pretty unusual. So unless you were in the ice, the roots and the rocks were pretty dry. But occasionally you'd catch a little chunk of ice, which you can see, yeah, right there, there's a bit. And that will definitely spin your tire, as you'll see on the next trail, which is quite a bit harder. That trail's Dojo. So here's an example of us not following the trail properly.
Beautiful.
I'm blaming my friend here. I'm on my 23 KTM 300XC. Christian is basically on the same bike. Oh. And that's what you get for following too close. Yeah, basically the husky version of the KTM 300XC, the 300TX. Here's a good chunk where you break through the ice, but you're not quite sure if the ice is going to break through or not. A little nerve-wracking. You might stay on top and slide along, or yeah, hopefully you break through and get traction. For the most part, we were breaking through, with the exception of that clip at the beginning of the video. We were breaking through only about half the time that time, which was a bit sketchy. The last thing you want to do is tip over into that.
He's gonna roost me.
And get soaking wet gloves and boots and all that good stuff. I feel like the trail took a different direction in previous years than this sort of zigzag. Maybe someone that has ridden this many times before can confirm that. Up here on this plateau is pretty much the end of the climbing on right to the top, and a very shady area. This is typically on a regular year where you'd see snow quite a bit later into the season, maybe even into June. But if you made it up all the hill there and you're not too tired, this flat section here is just a bit bouncy, a bit rutted, but you're home free, and you've pretty much made it to the end of the trail. The one luxury of riding ridiculously close to your friend like this is you can see the lines they take. What works, what doesn't. Kind of cool. And that is it. That is right to the top. Onto some new cut fire roads. And now here we are at Dojo. First part, pretty icy. Especially in this open field. I guess it doesn't get a lot of sun. I mean, there's some on there now, but there's a decent amount of ice on this trail. It looks like the water kind of just flows down the trail more than anywhere else. This little spot's dry, but you get into these slots where the tires have dug out a bit. It's certainly slick in little sections, as you'll see coming up. This is a lot flatter than it looks. Actually, just kidding. No, it's always steeper than it looks. Of course, it's a GoPro. Here's the sort of icy section coming up where I get a bit stuck. Right about here. Yeah, here it just lost momentum, spinning tires. No good. Had to hop off and push out of this. And back on course. The rest was pretty dry. The exceptions of little pockets like that. Today I'm running at 5.3K, 30 frames a second on the GoPro Hero 11. These are pretty much the hardest conditions you could throw at any kind of action camera. High contrast, pools of bright light, dark shadows, and a lot of bouncing around. The stabilization has to work incredibly well, and it's just tough to see all the details. It's doing a pretty good job, but definitely looks a lot worse than if I was in an open area without trees. Right here is the last sort of steep section. Oh, actually just coming up here, we got a bit more of traverse. Thankfully, this last steep push didn't really have any ice on it, so was able to swing around this corner and kind of straight shoot it up. Actually pretty good conditions in this upper half. Sometimes we get stuck along here with these slick roots right here. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Pretty epic conditions for mid-February. Hopefully this doesn't mean we're going to have a big fire season come summer, but right now we'll enjoy it and enjoy the quasi-dry, quasi-icy, quasi-muddy conditions. Till next time.